Hello friends, welcome to JSP Creations in yet another video. This is Prasad here, and today I just wanted to talk to you about my decision to move from the Canon to the Sony. Yes, I am a Canon user. I've been a Canon user for the last 5 years. Started my DSLR journey with this baby, which is a Canon 550D 5-6 years back. And when I bought it with the kit lens 1855, and bought this particular piece of glass, which is the 50mm 1.8, and I've loved using this camera with this lens. So been a Canon user for the last 5 years, as I said, this model, and in the various other events I have used the 7D Mark II, the 5D Mark III, 5D Mark II, and yeah, the 750D and other models. So after using various models, I thought this is time for me to upgrade. There are a few things which I was considering when I was looking at upgrading to another body. So my primary purpose was something which is not so big and heavy. I didn't want myself to be noticed when I'm traveling around. I wanted a light setup rather than having a big piece of equipment along with me whenever I go. So lightweight and a smaller setup is what I was looking at, but yet giving me the same quality of images what I was getting from my DSLR and the Tamron setup. So that was my primary aspect to look at. The other features which I was looking at is capability to shoot 4K. Yes, I may not be so significant for some people, but as I've started doing more videos, and while you edit your videos, you will start realizing that having the footage in 4K gives you that flexibility to crop your image if you have not framed it well, or to just zoom in and then give a good perspective when you do editing in and render it out in full HD. So 4K gives you that flexibility. I've been using it in my videos which I've shot with my iPhone 6s. 4K video edited in 1080p. I was comfortable using it, and I felt happy having that flexibility of zooming into a 4K footage and not losing any quality out of it. So this was a second aspect of it. And third one was okay, after I bought my Canon with the kit lens, after a couple of years I had been doing some events, and I felt I had a need for a good zoom lens and a 2.8 aperture. So I was not able to afford the Canon 24-70 2.8. So at that point of time, there was great reviews about the Tamron 24-70 f 2.8 lens. So after much of deliberation, I just went ahead and purchased this lens, and it served me very, very well. I was very happy purchasing this lens. It requires you to get used to it, but once you know how to handle this lens, then the quality of the images which was coming out, and the zoom range this was providing you 24-70 on a crop sensor, slightly more than that, but it's still good. So the third factor which I was looking at while I was trying to upgrade is compatibility and any of these models, because it's been a Canon mount. So that's one primary reason why I was looking at the Canon model, which is 80D, 60 Mark II, and the 5D Mark IV. These are the three options which I had looked at. So I went to these showrooms and used the Tamron lens in those models, and to my surprise, the autofocus was really slow, okay, compared to what it does in my 550D. Also, the autofocus into these newer cameras, 80D, the 60 Mark II, and the 5D Mark IV, was comparatively slower. And again, the combination in these bodies makes it much more a bigger and hefty setup, as well as it is heavier, right? So not being able to use my Tamron to my satisfaction in these models, and again these not satisfying my need of having a lighter setup, it forced me to look at the other options in the market. And as you know, Sony is taking the market by storm with all these models which they are coming up with fully packed features. So started looking into various options of Sony, and in the crop sensor area we have the Sony A6000 model, 6300 and the 6500 models there. So 6000, again the entry level model, a crop sensor. Good reviews are there. This camera people appreciate about how good the camera is, and it's the frame rates and stuff like that. But again, it does not have 4K, so I had to look at the 6300. And when you look at 6300 and look at the various reviews, yeah, there are overheating issues which is reported in those camera, and it does not have stabilization. So I had to look at the next model which is the market for Sony. The latest APS-C which they have now is the 6500, maybe 1 or 2 years older model as of now, and people are talking about 6700 being to be launched. That's fine. At this point of time, 6500 is their top of the line APS-C sensor. It has in-body stabilization. I'm a fan of image stabilization. I've seen the usage of this image stabilization very well, and it's helped me in a lot of scenarios where I didn't have much lighting in the environment. I had to reduce my shutter speed because I can't boost my ISO beyond maybe 800, and I didn't want those grains in my image. So I had to get into lower shutter speeds and get the right exposure, and image stabilization does the trick for you. Still gives you the sharper images, and I love the image stabilization which the Tamron lens has. So that was another key thing which I was looking for, and looking at the options which Sony has. The 6500 has the in-body image stabilization, which I was kind of attracted towards having that capability into the body itself, rather than looking at this option in the lens and then investing so much money into an IS lens. So looking at these various factors, I made a switch to this particular model, went and bought my Sony A6500, right? So it has a very flip screen, does not do articulating as how the Canon does. All these models, Canon's touch screen and the articulating screen is a big plus, which does not come in any other models in Sony. But I thought this is good enough. So this can go into 90 degrees if you have to do a lower shot, and if I have to do a shot from the top, then this is good enough for me to look at an angle and then shoot it. And touchscreen is not great, but I still didn't find that as a big issue in taking my decision to buy this camera. So I bought it along with this particular lens, which is the 35mm 1.8 lens. This is an APS-C lens. There has been great reviews about the sharpness of this lens, and I thought 35mm is a good, decent wide angle for me to shoot when I travel, and also take some portraits, wide angle portraits with this lens, which does not distort the image. I did look at the 28mm, but when I was doing some testing, then I found a bit of distortion in 28mm, and I didn't want to be doing that post-production distortion correction in editing my photos, so I went ahead with this 35mm, even though it is an APS-C lens. So happy about my purchase. These are various factors which I considered while switching between Canon to Sony, and I think for these criteria which I had, the Sony fits right into most of these aspects, and I'm as of now I'm happy taking this decision. I've been using this camera for the last 2-3 weeks now. It's been good. The images are coming out sharp. I love the eye autofocus feature in this. These are some features which you don't get in your Canon cameras. Yeah, the continuous autofocus capabilities, the eye autofocus, which I felt was very good. The in-body image stabilization. There's an in-body zoom capability. I don't know what they call it, optical zoom or stuff, but it gives you capability even in this prime lens, which is 35mm. There are 2x zoom which I can do without the image quality deteriorating. Amazing, right? So you use the prime lens as a zoom lens. And I did test this, and the output is coming out really well, right? So I'm sure it's going to be much more better if you put better glasses in front of that. So these are few things which as we use as a user, you'll start enjoying, and you would want such features in the upcoming model of the cameras. So I will cover these aspects in a later video when I cover my review about the A6500. and I hope I do it as soon as possible and give you my take on those. I'm not going to get into any technicalities because I would want to share as a user what I felt was good in certain cameras and what I felt was not great or could be improved in those cameras. So my reviews is going to be in those perspective. So watch out for those videos coming your way. I hope this video was useful just to give my perspective about what factors I considered in taking this decision, and it would help you when you are looking into moving from one camera to another or buying a new camera. If you like this video and you found it useful, please press like and do subscribe for more videos coming your way. This is Prasad signing off for GASP Creations. Thank you again.